the Netherlands. Home of the football artists. The nearly men of the 70s. But in 1988, there was a new generation of Dutch masters.
We had a fantastic generation with a lot of talent.
We had a really good team spirit at the time.
It was a real team effort, not just the 11 on the pitch.
22 players and the staff who all wanted to achieve something.
In November 1985, a defeat to Belgium in a World Cup playoff meant that Holland, then managed by Leo Beenhakker, had failed to qualify for their third successive international tournament. It was all a far cry from the golden generation of the 70s, when Holland burst onto the international scene, thanks to the likes of Cruyff, Krol, Rep and Van Hanegem, reaching 2 World Cup finals, but ultimately falling short.
The number of players we can pick on is relatively small since it's a small country. Between an extremely good generation and a very good generation, we had just a good generation of players that wasn't that good, and that is why we didn't qualify.
But the mid-80s saw the emergence of a new generation, including Marco van Basten, Ronald Koeman, Frank Rijkaard and the world's most expensive player, Ruud Gullit.
He was physical, very strong, he was fast, and from his position it was maybe the strongest and the best player in the world.
A big guy and standing in a row to walk on the pitch, and you have Gullit in the team, that's a big advantage.
Gullit's Milan teammate Marco van Basten was also a key player for the Dutch.
I think he gave us the boost that we needed as a, I think he was excellent. I just did everything to give him the ball as much as possible.
Rinus Michels, the Dutch coach from 1974, was chosen to mould the undoubted talent available.
It is almost by definition not easy to be the coach of a group of Dutch players. We have seen many examples of that in the past. So the Dutch FA thought that what they need to make this group really successful is to have a very experienced coach. So they asked Michels. The calmness he brought of being somebody who has seen everything before fitted in very well with the explosive characters of some of the Dutch players. Everybody respected him.
Under Michels, there was to be no repeat of qualifying failure. The Dutch topped their group with 6 wins out of 8, securing their place at the 1988 European Championship in Germany. What's more, in the run-up to the tournament, many of the Dutch squad had tasted success at club level.
Before the tournament I had a great feeling because with PSV we won the Champions League, the European Cup. So we were already over the moon and looking forward to the tournament.
De jongens brengen toch een bepaalde ervaring.
PSV Eindhoven won the European Cup,
De Cup, de Europa Cup.
and that gave those boys a certain degree of confidence.
En dat geeft de jongens als ze terugkomen.
And that confidence in football is something incredible.
En dat is iets moois.
5 of PSV players won the championship, Van Basten and Gullit. They came in the group as Italian champions. Erwin Koeman, he won the Cup Winners' Cup. So we had a winning feeling when we came together.
At their pre-tournament training camp, the Dutch players and their coach Rinus Michels were in relaxed mood.
Beschikte ik
I had a team with excellent potential, a very balanced group of players. What I mean is that for our playing style, we had good defensive build-up, and in attack, we had a well-balanced selection of players.
The only one who had the experience was Rinus Michels, our coach. And we look up to him because with all his charisma, with all his experience.
We had games 10 against 10. Michels, he switched. He was looking for the right balance in the team, so he switched the teams a couple of times. So that went quite tough, and well, also a couple of fights in training because everybody was fighting for his place.
In this run-up to the European Championships and in the training periods, I had a group that showed they were very sharp and very motivated. This was also because in previous years they didn't manage to deliver and there were a lot of problems. So everyone was ready to really make something of it again.
Nobody had been on a tournament before, so we didn't really know what to expect. The wish was to win it, but the hope, we just went there and see what was coming at us.
The Dutch arrived at the Mungersdorfer Stadium in Cologne for their opening group game, followed by thousands of their orange-clad supporters. Their opponents were the Soviet Union, managed by the great Valery Lobanovsky.
And then we played well, very well. The only problem was that we didn't score.
We were attacking quite a lot, and we knew that Russia was quite a counter team on the counter attack. Michels warned us for that, and it did happen. What Michels said: one good counter attack, Rats from the left, a good diagonal shot, and after that we had some chances as well. So. Even though we were warned for the strength of Russia, we felt for it.
We didn't play that bad, but we lost the first game. And normally, yeah, you have a lot of critics, but after that game, and it started with our coach, Michels at the time, who said, we lost, but we have to go on, no problem, we are playing a good game, so it will come. So. That gave a lot of confidence instead of yelling or criticism of his side. He was calm and he knew that we were willing and able to do the job. So I think that was a very important moment.
Rinus Michels was not a man to panic. You couldn't tell if there was any pressure on him. You couldn't tell if he was nervous or anxious. And if you see that in your manager and the staff, then you're like that too.
Michels had made a brave decision in the first game, omitting Marco van Basten from the starting lineup.
I wasn't really completely fit when I started the tournament. That was also the reason where there was some discussions that I had to come with the national team or to stay at home.
Johan Cruyff, he wrote in the newspaper that he didn't understand that Marco was staying at the team when he wasn't playing. And I know there was a talk between Michels and Marco, and Michels said, listen, I can't promise you a place in the team, but if you keep training this way, your chance will come.
In the end, I went with the national team and I just said, okay, I want to train, I want to work.
I think Marco, after being left out the first game, he was annoyed and irritated, so he wanted to show something.
Michels turned to Van Basten for the second group game against England.
England had also lost their first game, 1-0 against the Republic of Ireland. So it was either win or go home.
A minute before half-time, the returning Van Basten proved just why Michels had selected him.
Marco made the difference with a magnificent dribble, not an easy chance. He put the first one in the back of the net. The English came back by Robson.
England were back in the game, but this was a day when Van Basten was determined to make his mark.
He was on the edge of offside, onside. He controlled the ball well, put it in the back of the net. And the third one, we have practiced that so many times out of a corner. And flicked on by Wim Kieft, I believe it was. And he scored his hat-trick. And you know, that gave us a great boost, of course.
All those 3 goals, you can say, were really world-class goals, scored by world-class player.
That was a special game for me. What started as a very difficult tournament changed as a dream for someone like me.
To progress to the knockout stage, Holland then had to beat the surprise package, the Republic of Ireland.
In our Dutch football history, luck always played a role, and in many, many instances, it was always against us. When having a good team, on the essential moments, luck deserted us. But in that game against Ireland, it was the other way around.
The Irish went close to taking the lead. Somehow, a Paul McGrath header just wouldn't go in.
It does need to be said that in these kinds of tournaments, in order to win, you also need to be lucky at the right times. And with this, I mean, you need to anyway play well, and in any case you need to give everything the team has, and the team needs to give the impression they know they can win it, but then you also need to have a little bit of luck. And we had that luck against Ireland in that decisive phase, because if it had been a draw, we would have been goners.
The breakthrough was finally made by Wim Kieft in the 82nd minute. His header and the Dutch a semi-final place, and their opponents would be their fierce rivals, West Germany.
Years ago, people here in Holland always wanted to talk about things that happened in history, the war.
There was also the small matter of the 1974 World Cup final, when Germany beat a Holland side managed by Michels 2-1.
Everybody who was older than 5 or 6 years old, who have seen or knew about the game of '74, how we were, in our opinion, we were robbed of the world title, not because of Germany did anything mean, but we have given it away.
You read a lot about the 1974 story in all the newspapers. We didn't win, so of course it all comes back to Holland against Germany. We read about that too, the hate and so forth. We read it and we knew it. As footballers, we knew all about the history.
For me, still, this game is the most important game I've ever played in my career.
It was a match with a lot of battles, a lot of tension, and a lot of duels. And then we had a penalty given against us. And well, it was dubious. And Germany scored 1-0.
Die maakte 1-0. Onze tijd.
And I think the referee helped us a bit. He gave us a soft penalty.
toen hadden we wel zoiets van dat.
And then something happened within the team. We got stuck in more. And we suddenly realized we could do something here.
Ja, we kunnen hier iets neerzetten.
It started from the back and everybody was moving and I was standing in the gap and Ronald Koeman find the gap and it was 2-3 passes and we were in front of the goal of Germany. So I think it was good football play and the pass at the end was the most easy to play it in front of Marco.
And so in the end I was making difference to one we won in the last minute.
En ja, na het eindsignaal.
And then, when the final whistle blew, well, it's hard to describe the feeling.
Eigenlijk al een finale op zich is.
You've just beaten Germany, which is like winning a final in itself. To beat Germany in their own country, there's no better feeling at a tournament. But we couldn't party too hard afterwards, because the final awaited.
Everybody was happy that we won against Germany. I was happy because we went to the final, and that was something what was for me important. And yeah, the fact that we were winning against Germany, okay, that is something what gives more to the victory. But I think it's more important to playing the final.
Het is natuurlijk altijd moeilijk als je dus.
It is of course always difficult when you won such a semi-final against Germany, as everyone is euphoric.
En het belangrijker vond als het.
And they found that win more important than the entire tournament.
Is het moeilijk om.
Normally, it would then be difficult to get everything in focus again for the final.
Scherp te krijgen voor een finale.
Rinus Michels just said, "Lads, I hope you had a wonderful night. But do me a favor, and is there a possibility that we, the first time in Dutch history, with the Dutch national team, that we can win a final?" And at that time, we were back to the earth, and he gave that feeling, okay, use the confidence, because you've beaten the Germans, for the next game. But the next game is the most important. It's nice to beat the Germans, and it felt maybe for a lot of people like the final, but the final has to be played.
The Dutch lined up for the final, with Van Breukelen the base of a strong back five. Ruud Gullit was the link between the midfield and an attack spearheaded by Marco van Basten. Their opponents were the Soviet Union, who'd beaten Holland in the first group game. The Dutch were eager for revenge. After a tense start, Ruud Gullit went close with a free kick, just after the half-hour mark. And from the resulting corner,
the Russians headed it out, and Koeman brought it in again. And then Van Basten headed it back to Gullit. And the power he headed the ball, it was great.
Gullit's 32nd minute header had put Holland in control.
We could protect that lead, and at 1-0 we played well. And obviously, it's better than being 1-0 down, like in the first game.
They had to chase the game, so we could play more or less a counter-attack, prove the second goal.
The goal I made was a long ball from Muir, who was taking the time to arrive. And I didn't really want to make different things because I was a little bit tired already. So when I had to stop the ball and then to dribble or making other things, I just give it a try and it went out in a special way in the goal.
It was like, wow, am I really seeing this?
You can't believe it's true.
He can do that another million times, he will never score that goal.
Then I asked Marco, how can you shoot from that angle? And he said, I don't know.
Marco made something out of it that was yeah, something to remember, and nowadays people still talk about it.
At 2-0, the Dutch had one hand on their first trophy, but the Soviets were given a lifeline.
I wanted to be close to the ball, so I went for the ball, and my timing was okay. And I punched the ball towards the corner flag. And I just couldn't believe it, that for throw, the referee blew the whistle and pointed to the penalty stick. Belanov scored 2 years before during the World Cup against France, right of the goalkeeper, and firm. So it was quite easy. I dived to my right and it hit my thigh.
I was shaking like every journalist because it was clear that it was going to happen. The last 20 minutes Holland played in a team that couldn't lose the game anymore.
Holland had at last won a final in an international tournament. They were the European champions.
You want the trophy, so you rush up the stairs to collect it. And whether you're second, or 15th, or 20th in line, you still get to lift the trophy. And there I was, just by chance, standing next to Gullit. The feeling is indescribable. You begin to think about what was possible with this small country. What a fantastic feeling.
Back in the lowlands, a nation waited to welcome their returning heroes.
We didn't have an imagination. We didn't know what to expect. And I remember we arrived here in Eindhoven in the airport, and we saw just one orange sea with all people. And for me, that's still the highlight of my football career, that I haven't seen so many people happy.
Thousands lined the route from Eindhoven Airport to Amsterdam.
And it didn't dare if you were supporting Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV or another club. What kind of religion you were preaching? It didn't what for color of your skin was. We were just one happy family.
Perhaps 1988 should have been the start of an era, a period of continued success for Holland.
That is the most disappointing, because we had a fantastic generation with a lot of talent. 90 Italy went totally wrong. 92 in Sweden we lost the game against Denmark. We didn't expect that. So that's the frustration that our generation didn't win more tournaments.
Wouters and his teammates will always have that European Championship success to look back on. Holland's first international trophy, one that was secured because of a real team ethic.
We were able to win the European Championship also because he made it a really good team together.
The most I remember from '88 was the cohesion, not only at the pitch but also off the pitch, that we were more or less all friends, and we could shout to each other, we could have a laugh, and everybody accepted everything from each other. So that is the thing I remember most.
When I mention 4 or 5 names, Sufrein, Aaron Winter, Kruse, Troost, Koevermans. Those 5 players were so important for the squad, because every training we played 10 against 10. They kept us very sharp and agile and motivated, and there was no time to relax. So it was a real team effort, not just the 11 on the pitch and Bosman and Kieft and all the others, but it was a team effort of the 20 players.
I think it was the biggest achievement ever. I think Holland as a nation is so small. Therefore we were particularly proud after being so close a couple of times of winning something, now finally winning a trophy.